Is next. Nope. Oh, what the heck happened there? No, I gave you everything they gave me. That's everything I got on that one. All the way down at where it's 871 on mine, it's the plank title is withdraw from taxpayer-funded lobbying groups like TASB. There's a note that says refer to government election integrity. I talked to the chair. He thinks it belongs here. I think it belongs here, unless somebody else's intent. I know, but there's a difference, so I think we keep them both.
So, Mr. Chairman, Andy Eller here, SD24.
Yep.
So what you're saying, because we also have some taxpayer-funded lobbying planks as well. Are we saying keep them both? Keep them both? Okay.
Yeah, they're significantly different enough, and TASB is such a big deal in education circles that I think we really need to point it out in the education section.
I totally agree with you. Thank you.
Yep, okay.
Mr. Chairman, Stephen Callis, SD8. I'd like to propose an amendment under school choice, which should be roughly line 706.
Hold on a second, Stephen. Yep, first plank in the section, school choice. Yep,
Yes,
what's your
sir.
amendment?
I would like to amend, putting a period on the second line after children's education and striking and the funding should follow the student.
I second that. At the appropriate time, I wish to speak in opposition.
Going to speak to your motion, Mr. Callis.
I think we heard plenty of testimony on that, and I'm comfortable that what they had to say is adequate.
Mr. Lutz.
Folks, here we go again. For those of you who've been following this committee for a while, in 2018, there was an attempt to push an anti-school choice plank. And it actually passed the committee at the temporary stage, and everybody's phones lit up. Delegates, state elected officials were calling us. Everybody was getting phone calls about this. The committee passed eventually in 18 a very, very watered down school choice plank. And then it went to the floor of the convention. And on the floor of the convention, the delegates reinstated a solid school choice plank. This party, there is a very vocal, very active, but very minority of our delegates who opposes school choice out of concerns of regulation, but the vast majority of our party and our delegates are pro-school choice, and this language, including that phrase, funding that should follow the student, was just put on our primary ballot a few months ago, overwhelmingly passed. Yes. But what I'm saying is, in years past, this committee has tried to water down the school choice language, and every time we do it, when you go to the convention floor on Friday, our delegates put it back. Yep. Our elected officials are pro-school choice, and frankly, I've spent almost all day Tuesday listening to very real and very legitimate concerns from parents about how they're getting the runaround from the ISD bureaucracy and how this system is not serving them. And they were asking us for a lifeboat, and in this platform, we gave it to them. Now, it is time to listen to what our delegates have been saying for the last 10 years, the overwhelming majority of them, and make it clear and basically state in our platform what we all know to be true, which is, while there is a very vocal and active minority in this party that does not support school choice, the vast majority of our folks believe that parents should have the right to determine the best environment for the education of their kids, and that regardless of their income, we need to provide a lifeboat for parents of limited means who are not being well served by the public school system, and that is what the vast majority of our delegates want. And so I would encourage you, because a lot of people, when in 18, when this committee went a different direction, people's phones lit up if you were following this process back then. I would encourage us to stick with what came out of my committee, because it was what the vast majority of Texas Republicans support. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman,
Chairman?
let me get you.
Ms. Richards, do you want to speak for?
yes, I'd like to speak for the
Ms.
amendment.
Richards?
I so appreciate Chairman Litz working with us on so many school choice and parents' rights issues. And I do believe that this wording needs to come out, because parents are not yet assured that there won't be those strings attached. We know that there's already a commission form that's looking into blockchain and how it can be tracked that way, because we've asked, how will the funding follow the student? A voucher isn't just a coupon you take somewhere. There's just way too many questions for that portion of it, but we do feel that we want school choice. We just have to be assured that there won't be strings. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone speaking against?
Mr. Chairman,
Are you speaking against?
I'm
Mr.
speaking
Gephardt?
against. Yes.
Mr. Gephardt, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This committee may not know, but we are a homeschool family. I have, with my wife, obviously doing the main share of the work. We've homeschooled for about 30 years. And our liberties are always at risk whenever the legislature meets. And just because that we have homeschool freedom now, there's no guarantee it's going to continue like that. We have to be vigilant. Saying that much, we have to be able to have a mechanism for funding to be with the student. I know that there's a risk here, but like I said, there's a risk every time the dadgum session meets that we're losing half our liberties. So we have to be diligent and watch over these people. I am not concerned because it's going to be optional if you want to participate in this or not. Also, my opinion is that the best way to achieve this is do it before the government takes anything from you, because it's not their money. If we keep that money, they can't direct us how to do squat. So that is the whole point to do this, is that money never leaves my wallet, and I can do with it as I please. And that's what I will hope that we'll focus on as we execute this. But I'm against taking it out. We've got to dismantle what's there in place, because you can't have school choice without a mechanism to remove their funding.
Can I ask a point of information real quick?
Thank you, Dave. Who is asking?
This is Jason Vaughn.
Jason?
I just, based on Dave's testimony, I may be misunderstanding, because you said keep the money in your pocket. I believe this would still, the way it's written and we're still talking about, and would be the state actually giving you money. Am I misunderstanding?
No, the verbiage does seem to imply that.
Okay, so it could be the state giving you money or you keeping money?
It depends on how it's implemented.
Okay. If we could clarify that language, that would probably be good.
We've had 2 and 2. Is there anyone else speaking for?
Yes, sir.
John?
I would like to speak
No,
for.
we've had 2 for. We've had 2 for. And we've had 1 against.
Okay.
I'd like to speak for the.
Hold on. Do we have an against?
I'm gonna, oh, no, yeah.
No, Dave was speaking against. So we've had. No, he was against. Diane was
I want
for.
that to stay in.
Yep. So now we're looking for somebody who's speaking for.
Against that amendment.
Are
Okay.
you speaking for?
I'm speaking against the amendment.
Okay, we're looking for somebody speaking for.
I'm speaking for striking the language.
Okay, Ms. Castilla.
Cindy Castilla, SD 12. This is one small part of this bill. It does not say we're against school choice. It might be saying figure it out. Nobody's saying don't figure it out. But we still have in there support tax credits and exemptions for education and choice. It probably shouldn't say within the public school system. It should just say educational choice. But this is like one of these happy fix-alls, Education is very, very broken. The last time this was actually tried in, I know in the Senate, the income amount kept going down, 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 till you get to the point that the person who gets the credit's very, very small. They can't even afford the gas to get their kid to another school. It always has, a shrinking of the population who can utilize it. The amounts probably not that much. So now you have people itching, my government's going to pay for me to go to this private school. Can they get into that private school? Can they afford the rest of the tuition? So there's just so much more that's not discussed here. People do have a choice. They do have a choice. And I'd like them to be able to exercise that without risking getting them entangled or getting our schools entangled, just like Hillsdale and these other very few colleges that are sort of safe. They didn't vaccinate your kid and they didn't make them wear masks. There's just a few of those that our kids are safe to go to in our country, in our whole country. And I would like to be very, very cautious, so I'd like to strike that line.
Okay, thank you. Mr. White, you're recognized. You're speaking against, and you are the final
I'm
speaker.
against because if you did
hold
that-
on, Mr. White. You are the final
yep.
speaker on this issue.
I'm sorry. If the funding should, if we take away the funding following the student, the public independent school districts would collapse because they earn their money on average daily attendance. So as it happens in Rockwall, we're a small county, but we've got 2 school districts. And when a child moves from Rockwall to Roy City, the money follows the child. And this is true also of charter schools. The money follows the child. All of the public schools, that is the charter schools and the ISDs, the schools are funded by average daily attendance. The difference is the ISDs also get a huge amount of like 65% of my property tax. Thank God it's frozen, but it's still 65%. I'm over 40. I'm a senior citizen, in case you didn't know. But at any rate, on the money following the student, and me look ahead, because there's all this business about, well, we're going to have all these strings attached. I'm a veteran also, and I didn't, but if I had wanted to go to Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary on the GI Bill, it would have had no strings attached. It doesn't have to have strings attached. That's really a weak argument altogether. But the fact that the funding, if you leave that wording in there, take that wording out, you will then jeopardize the ISDs if that was actually passed, because they depend on the money following the students from one school district to another. We have a lot of people in Dallas that flee Dallas to come to Rockwall for our schools. And that money that was going to DISD now goes to RISD. So the money is all following the students it's historical. It's in fact, it's what's in the law now. That's not, so we want to say, and the funding will follow the student. Now, in the case of the homeschools and whatnot, they're growing like crazy, but they're excluding people who are lower income levels that would love to get into them. Those are the people that are fleeing the ISDs and going to the charter schools. And I know the charter schools well because one of the companies that has many campuses was one of my customers for several years. They have outstanding education. The kids all wear uniforms that their parents pay for. And the charter schools are funded by average daily attendance. And that is coming from the same money source that goes to the so-called public schools. Of course, charter schools are technically public schools. In the case of the private schools, there are a lot of people that would like to go to a high-quality private school, but they can't. Now, charter schools are funded, I said, as the ISDs, except there's a difference.
Thank you, Mr. White. You're out of time.
Thank you.
All in favor of adopting the amendment which strikes the language and the funding should follow the students, say aye. Aye. All opposed.